Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Welcome to Reganelite's Watch Along episode 99. That's right, I've got 99 problems, but this live stream ain't one of them, guys. That's for sure. And on this one, we've got plenty to look at tonight. We'll be looking at clips from the Belfast incident. We're going to be looking at various clips from that. There is some about the World Cup I also want to add if we have time as well. A couple of Trump ones if we get round to them as well, and some odd UK clips as well. I do have one warm-hearted and a funny clip as well for you guys tonight if we get to it. The maximum length we'll go to is about an hour and a half. We don't go any further than that. Sometimes we do end up going a little bit over on this live stream. Cross fingers I don't end up doing that tonight. But we will have to wait and see. Just a quick reminder on a couple of things. Unless something dramatic happens, I'm still planning to go live on twice tomorrow, both on the Good Morning Show at 11 a.m. and myself and 100 Pagan with the Eco Flake Show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And as for those who don't know, I'm planning to be on the Sunday Roast with Dave McGuinness, Liz Webster, and Alex Political X. We're going to be recording that tomorrow, and that will be up on Sunday, guys. So very much looking forward to that as well. So do check out the Sunday Roast coming up this weekend, guys. And also, just a reminder, we've got the roundtable planned next week as well. Next week, Thursday as well. So do check that out too there. So who we got lurking in the chat? Not many people tonight. We've got Jow, one of our moderators as well. Do check out his YouTube channel. There's some lovely content there. Iddy Duck Mel, I see you there. Hope you are doing well. And I see Doc Davis there in the chat. Not many people around tonight. Maybe we'll pick up as we go along. So I want to start with, obviously, with what's going on in Belfast. And I think, you know, the conversation around this, I think, is really, really... I have to say the word getting out of hand, I think is the good word to describe what's happening. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, we're talking about, you know, this has been, I think, let's just call this what it is. This is being weaponized. It's being weaponized. And I really am concerned about, like, I don't normally pay a lot of attention to Belfast, as you guys know. But my fear is that we are heading down a really dark path. We've had Southport, we had obviously the Henry Nowak case recently, and now we've got this. It really is getting pretty bleak indeed. And I wanted to just share this clip here where Mehdi Hassan, and by the way, do check out Mehdi Hassan of Zateo. He has launched Zateo UK, which I've already signed up to, but I haven't joined as a paid member yet. But obviously, I want to see Zateo UK really launch and do well. And I really think it'll be very important I really think it's good for media. I think it's good that that there's a bubble being grown, that there's a bubble there, because Mehdi Hassan is an extremely popular, well-respected journalist. Of course, people on the right absolutely despise him because he actually does his homework. And he's been doing quite a few media rounds today and yesterday, obviously popping it up. But he was also obviously asking for his views on what was happening in Belfast. So here he was on the news agents giving his views about all of this as well.
My understanding is immigration numbers have come down massively over the last year,
yeah,
and yet when you look at the polling, the public doesn't know or doesn't believe it.
Actually, they do, because immigration has now, at least according to YouGov, immigration is no longer the primary concern of voters.
But there is a poll that I saw that showed 50% of Britons still think it's the same numbers it was a year ago. So there's a big chunk of people in terms of the numbers. Yeah. And so, for example, that becomes an issue then, because then you say, well, it's actually, the public just want action to be taken. Action is taken, and the public either don't recognise it or don't believe it. So then it becomes a messaging problem. Then it does become about communication. How much education is there of the public on this issue? So how much are politicians willing to call out the lies and disinformation?
Right.
And this is a very good point here, and this is exactly what I've been saying with regards to the Labour Party and its reduction in immigration numbers. It doesn't matter. I've said this before. It doesn't matter how much they reduced the numbers. It really doesn't matter because people will not buy it. People will not believe it. You won't get Reform or the Conservatives or Restore. You won't get any of these parties saying, yep, the Labour government have done that. They've reduced the numbers. They won't say that. They'll keep saying the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter what Keir Starmer says. It doesn't matter what Shabima Mahmood says as the Home Secretary. It doesn't matter if you put graphs and statistics showing that the numbers are down. They'll keep saying, well, there's still those people in my village or in my town. They don't see it like that. They want to see people, some of these people who are really extreme, they want to see them gone. Anyone who is not white, they want to see some of them gone. I'm talking about the people on the extreme right, not because there is a level. There is some people on the right who generally don't believe the numbers, and there are some who are really extreme who just want to see a completely pure white British society, which is absolutely batshit crazy. But I've been saying that this so many times to on this channel for those who have been following. He cannot win back these voters because these voters aren't coming back. They're not going to believe you. It doesn't matter if you bring down even if you stop all the boats crossing over, even if you stop people coming over, people aren't going to believe it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They don't believe you. That's the problem here. So even when you put the facts in front of them, they're still not going to believe you. They will rather believe their mate Joel down at the pub. They would rather take it on board with their Facebook groups because they don't want to listen to facts and information. What do they want? Well, there's some of these people who just simply want chaos. There are some who don't even know what they want. There's a lot of people out there who are very misunderstood about everything that's going on out here. Scott Hayes, Counter Kev, Viper Scott, Jeannie Bottle, good to see you there. Sarah Davis, Sass. Good to see you all there in the chat. Hope you guys are all doing well.
And take a strong position.
This is so interesting because I think the nub of this really is if you are a mainstream politician, if you are the Prime Minister, the leader, do you say you're wrong? Do you tell the British people?
It's a great question.
Right? You're wrong.
We are getting this. Of
course.
Harder for a politician. I agree.
But you have to be Keir Starmer or whoever for a moment and say, I'm the leader. That's disinformation. Listen to me. Or you have to say, if this is what people are telling us they're worried about, we have to respond.
Yeah, so I'm more in the first camp than the second, though I recognise the political pitfalls of that. You don't want to tell the voters they're wrong. Obviously, in those ways, that's just not the way you win elections. On the other hand, constantly conceding to your opponent's framing of an issue, constantly fighting battles on your opponent's terrain is not the way you go forward.
Because what has been the Labour Party consistently been battling on? Immigration, non-stop. Why? Because they keep the right wing and these right wing politicians are constantly bringing it up all the goddamn time, even though they bring the numbers down. They're constantly bringing up immigration, time and time again. When there's these tragic events that have been occurring, what do they try to spin it around? Immigration. What happened to Henry Novak was nothing to do with racism, but they spinned it as racism. Well, we don't know, obviously, the full extent of the investigation, but it appears not to be racism as far as I'm aware, but we obviously have to wait for that investigation. We got the incident, obviously, that occurred in Belfast. Now, was it racially motivated? We don't know. We need to let the police hear this out. But people are impatient. People want to assume that there's a reason to cause anger and violence. But there's a part of me that feels like maybe we do need a Prime Minister to tell some of these people, hey, you're wrong. This is nonsense. Stop believing this nonsense. Maybe Keir Starmer does need to say, you guys need to stop believing this bollocks. Maybe, grow a bit of a spine. I wonder if Andy Burnham, if he does become Prime Minister, will he tell these people, like, stop believing the nonsense? Like, this is just bollocks. Like, if he actually said that, I think I'd get a lot more respect out of him because he's actually telling people who are believing this, like, why are you guys listening to these groups? Like, why are you listening to them? Like, what they're saying is nonsense, right? Like, it would really rattle the right if someone was to tell them, like, you guys are listening to nonsense people. Stop listening to them. Instead of trying to kowtow to these people, who, by the way, are never going to vote for you anyway.
If that was the way forward, then why are we still in this mess 20 years after Tony Blair was triangulating on this issue? These are not new issues. I mean, I'm old enough to remember New Labour was talking about all this stuff. Tony Blair was saying we're going to crack down on asylum seekers, vouchers for asylum seekers. David Blunkett talking about the swamping of schools. I'm that old to remember 25 years ago what was going on in this country. So it clearly didn't work. And I think if you look across the West, the centre-left's approach to this, which is trying to meet the right halfway, trying to do this, well, they have legitimate concerns. Let's not say they voted
They
wrong.
shouldn't do it.
That hasn't worked. It's not that they shouldn't do it. It hasn't worked. I think you have to start from a starting point with if it's not working,
So go
why
on.
are we doubling
How
down?
strong would you say Keir Starmer should be on this then?
I think Keir Starmer should take the opportunity to go on the offensive and say, if you're worried about small boats now and immigration now, have a look at what Belfast looks like right now. That's what the entire UK will look like when Nigel Farage is Prime Minister. Is that the country you want to live in? Is the United States under Trump with ICE militias grabbing and shooting American citizens on the street? Is that the future you want? That's the dystopian future heading your way under these cynical people.
That's such a great point. So good. So good. This is this guy. I love Mehdi Hassan. So good. So on the ball with these topics. Absolutely knocked out the park. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Keir Starmer needs to go on the offensive. He does need to go on the offensive with some of these people, because if we're not going to go further, right? If the government aren't going to shut down these people who are setting this up, the likes of Elon Musk, the likes of Tommy Robinson, online, fueling these protests, right? If we're not going to shut them, if we can't silence them because they are feeding this misinformation, then we've got to do something. We've got to take drastic action. Like, I don't want personally X to get banned, but I would be happy to see X get banned if it stops people doing this. I generally do. If it stops people doing this. I already have grave doubts about Bird. I mean, he's already sound bogged down. IMO. Yeah, he is. He is bogged down. He's in with the group. Like people who think that he's going to be left leaning. They're wrong. He's not. He's not changing the narrative. He's not going to change a lot when he comes in. He's saying what he needs to say to win the Makerfield by-election. I mean, he's got to have his meeting with what's his name, Rupert Murdoch. He's got to have his meeting and kiss the ring of Rupert Murdoch before he becomes Prime Minister as well. That's bog standard in Britain as well now. So he'll probably do that as well at some point. Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating, this whole thing. So I'm going to show you a really, really powerful video here. So obviously there's journalists down on the ground in Belfast. This was earlier today. Very interesting. When I got down here, I couldn't find one police officer joining from Belfast. Andy Hughes crimes. Discussed with James O'Brien how last night's riots could be linked to the Northern Ireland longer history here. Hold on, let me just get that right there. There's another piece from him which we'll listen to in just a moment.
They were mobilizing young, angry men who were waiting for an excuse to commit violence. And as you can see, they certainly did that.
Sounds quite organised. Unless I've misunderstood you, that they were all dressed similarly and all wearing balaclavas. I mean, that speaks not of something uniquely thrown up by the events of the last 24 hours, but of links with Northern Ireland's longer history.
Yeah, this is a loyalist area that we're in, and I saw some of the messages that were being pumped out on social media before the protest, and they asked all people who were attending to dress all in black,
right,
and cover their faces and wear hoods. Very interestingly, James, I obviously came here last night expecting this place to be surrounded by police. When I got here, I couldn't find one police officer. They did steam in, though, when the firebombs started going through the windows. You can see here the consequences of that. 4 police riot vans, they raced up this road, and they knew better than to get out the police vans, but the mob just turned on the police vans. They started smashing up the windscreens. They started tearing off the wing mirrors. And then minutes later, the vans had to retreat and abort their mission. So even the police couldn't get anywhere near this. They were just completely overrun by all the rioters.
And what's even worse about this is the worst thing, is what he said there. They all were told in this, right, to wear black, to cover their faces and wear hoodies. Now, just imagine, for the sake of this, yeah, because obviously this is in Belfast, there's obviously longer routes, longer troubles here in the past, right? If they were doing this in Southampton and other places in England where they were completely covering themselves, that would put the police in even more difficult situations when it comes to prosecuting these people. It would be much harder to prosecute these people who cause acts of violence. Now, luckily, a lot of some of these people who do cause violence in England are a bit dumb and make their faces very clear when they're trying to cause violence. And obviously, because it's captured on camera, eventually they get a knock on the door from the bill. But here in Northern Ireland, you're not going to get that if you're completely covered up. If you're covered in black with everybody else, everyone's all covered up the same way. How the hell are you supposed to distinct who is and who hasn't been involved? How is there ever going to be any accountability? And the answer is there isn't. There is no accountability here. This was very carefully and well organized by these people. Very, very carefully. And it's incredibly scary as well because they've been able to do this and they know they can get away with it because they can't prove who these people are because they're covered up. If this becomes a thing in Scotland or in England or Wales across the pond and they start replicating this, yeah, what are the police supposed to do then? Generally, if they start covering themselves up. Like, I don't know what they are supposed to do if we start having that situation. Because it will give these people the power to think that they can get away with absolutely everything and not be held accountable in any way, shape or form. That's the thing that scares me the most. Because they know that they're covered, that they can't be seen, and that they can get away with it. That's the thing that really scares me the most, is that they will be able to do this and not be held accountable because we won't know what they look like. Power to the people. Graham Price, good to see you there, my friend. Hope you are doing well. You still up for next week's roundtable, my friend? I hope you are. Good to see you there in the chat. I have grave doubts about Burnham. Yeah, I saw that will run already. Can we have Tommy Temnanes arrested next time he sets foot in the UK? I don't know if what he has said in videos and on tweets is enough to justify him being arrested, though. I'm not sure if that's enough. I don't know if it's enough to arrest him, though. That's the only thing. Russian prisons are recruiting centres for the meat grinder in Ukraine. They would take Yaxi Lenin, says Zhao. Yeah, the problem is they're not going to take him because he's far more useful to them out, not in the front. Far more useful for him causing disruption here. He's far more useful for them now, unfortunately. So this is the other piece from Andy Hughes here. There's a stench of the menace in the air here. Mobs of men in balaclavas, cars on fire, chaos on the streets. I believe this was from last night's report, but I could be... I believe this was from last night's report or today. I'm not 100% sure. Now, even before I've gone live here, I was like checking to see has there been any major protests, and I've had a look. I've not seen anything kicking off just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if people watching have already heard reports already.
They've torched one of the cars here. It looks as though they're setting fire to a lot more wheelie bins. There's a real stench of menace in the air here. So we've just spent a few hours in the east of Belfast. That's where a lot of the Protestant community live. And as we were leaving, residents were being evacuated from their homes because they were being set on fire. We're in one of the side streets and they've torched one of the cars here.
What is the purpose of torching a BMW, like I said this morning? What is the purpose of this, guys?
A small group of young men dressed in black, wearing balaclavas. They just tried to flip over that car. And then one of the residents actually, whoa. And one of the residents came out and said, no, that's my car, please don't do it. And they stopped and they said, sorry.
So what? I imagine they stopped it because, oh, that's a white person. Let's leave it. Oh no, it's not. It's not an immigrant. It's not a black guy. It's not a black or brown person. No, leave it, lads. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. It's a white person. Like, shouldn't even be doing it in the first place.
It's a bit lawless.
Obviously, a horrific attack last night. What do you make of that?
Oh, it's horrific, absolutely horrific. The likes of politicians using the working class to incite their own hatred and basically scapegoat immigrants as murderers. What does this gain?
Well, you said politicians. Well, what politicians are you talking about?
Well, the likes of, you see even in England, the likes of Rupert Lowe, Farage obviously, he's...
Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
Is that who you blame for this?
Yeah.
So that was an ambulance there, the first one I've seen, so obviously someone's been hurt. There's a police checkpoint here. This is at the end of the road. So as you can see, they're stopping cars kind of coming in and out, they're checking IDs. But they're allowing people to walk in, and we walked in, no one checked us. But we're going to head to another part of the city now because we heard that the riot squad are about to steam in.
Before I carry on, there was a clip going around. I don't have it here, but there was a clip online going around. I don't know how real it is, so do take what I'm about to say with a pinch of salt. There was some of the so-called rioters were stopping cars, checking them to see if they were white people in the cars. I don't know how true that footage is. It has been going around on social media, but obviously it's pretty horrible to say the least there.
And we're now heading to the west of Belfast, and that's where the Catholic community live. And our security Joe, he's lived here his whole life, and he said this is the first time in his lifetime that he's seen both the Catholics and the Protestants protest together.
That's incredible. That they are united, that are becoming united on an issue that, by the way, barely affects them. The number of migrants in Northern Ireland and Ireland are very low, very, very low in comparison to us and other countries. It's very, very low.
There's a fire in the middle of the road. There's something else on fire. It looks like part of an estate, and there's a big mob of people there dressed all in black and wearing balaclavas and face masks. This is the uniform that people have been asking the protesters to wear. Why? Because it's harder to identify them.
And this is the problem. How the hell are the police over there supposed to hold any of these people accountable? They just can't.
And yet again, not a police officer in sight. We're now 24 hours after the stabbing, and this disorder is exactly what the Prime Minister pleaded not to happen. However, this division is exactly what some wanted to happen, and this is what they're getting. And we have no idea how long this is going to go on for.
Well, let's hope it's only one night and it hasn't carried on since then. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't say Starmer. He may be a boring PM, but he isn't lying, racist, populist. Yeah, says Graham. Boredom, lack of aspiration, jobs, etc. Yeah, a lot of those things do play a part. That's true. Counter Kev. There is a reason why the Romans gave bread and circus to the masses, to keep them appeased. Appease the masses. That is true. Here it will be considered terrorism and organised criminality. Well, you have to argue to a certain extent what these groups of people who are covered up and are causing this damage, these are terrorists because they're terrorising people. They're terrorising homes. They're destroying, setting houses on fire, setting buildings and cars on fire. You know, they're targeting non-white people. How is that not terrorism? Is that not terrorism in and of itself? Like, have we lost what is the meaning of terrorism? Is that not what the definition of it is? Let's hear from Jeremy Corbyn. Sorry, let me fix this for you guys 1 second. I have to keep switching the screen. Apologies. There we go.
Last night, the scenes of racist violence on the streets of Belfast, gangs going door to door looking for foreigners, and the racist abuse being thrown at any minority ethnic person on the streets of Belfast last night were utterly disgusting, as were the attempts by people in Glasgow and Liverpool last night to emulate that and do exactly the same.
Oh, I have not. Now, this was the first time I've heard about this happening in Liverpool, but I do want to say this. From the footage that I've seen in Glasgow, yes, there was lots of men out in Glasgow. That is fundamentally true. That definitely did happen. However, I didn't see violence. Now, I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the chat if anybody has seen that. I have not seen any footage regarding Liverpool. So I can't comment on Liverpool whatsoever.
What message has he got for the far-right racists that are encouraged by parties represented in this House that they will not be allowed to assemble in the next few days and over the weekend to promote the same kind of racist language and violence against minorities within our society? None of this racist stuff builds a house, feeds a child, or educates anybody. Surely what we need to do is unite people together against racism in any form in our society.
I mean, it's all well and good, but my concern is how do we stop these people? That's how I'm concerned, is how do we stop these people? It's not about how good you are. It's not about being a professional. It's about you. They don't want you here. Caller Jack says the rioting in Belfast is no longer about immigration anymore. It's about race. This is really disheartening, but I think it needs to be heard, guys.
I don't feel that we are in a position where we can really claim that this is purely about immigration anymore, because nobody, including during the Farage riots, nobody's checking paperwork. Nobody's saying, oh, well, your grandfather came over then, so you're all right. It's the new guys. It's, hey, you're black, you're brown, let's get you. You can go and play that whole I'm the good immigrant thing, or I'm the good black or brown person thing all you want. It will only be a matter of time before it's you. Just like with all of these black and brown people that go and support people like Kemi Badenoch, Suella Braverman, the Reform Party and all of that. And what's happened? The Restore Party shows up, and now they're talking about remigration, something which we've seen on the continent of Europe. Now it's in Britain. Now it's getting out there. Now it's growing. And bit by bit, it's a bit of a reminder of it's not how good you are. It's not if you play for the England football team. It's not about if you're a professional or if you've got a degree or any of that type of stuff. It's you. Your presence here is the problem. They don't like you being here. And quite frankly, they don't even really like you being alive.
And I hate to say this, but this caller is absolutely bang on the money here. And a lot of these people on the extreme, and I do say extreme because I want to be clear, I'm not going to smear everyone on the right with this belief, because I don't accept that premise that everybody on the right believes this. But there are those on the extremes who generally believe this, who believe in this stuff so much, believe that the best thing for the UK, for Britain, and for these nations is to kind of push out all the black and brown people in this belief that somehow it will make all life in society better, when it's just simply not true. There is just not truth in here, and this reinforces this message. I'll come to your super chat in a moment, Scott. This reinforces this message as well of this is what the billionaires, the Murdochs, the media mongols, those of foreign influence, this is what they want. They do not want you knowing what they are doing. They don't want you focusing on your cost of living crisis. They don't want you focusing on your healthcare. They don't want you focusing on taxing millionaires or looking at public services or your water bills or getting a job and that. No, they want all your focus, all your attention, all your time to be spent on that guy over there, or that woman over there who's not got the same skin color as you, or that person's got a different religion to you. Hey, that person's why is that man dressed as a woman? That's not right. That's the kind of stuff they want you talking about. They don't want you talking about real issues, real problems that affect your day-to-day lives. They don't want you talking about that. That's why these the likes of the mainstream media, they constantly keep going on about it, instead of not talking enough about real issues, real problems. This whole immigration thing is one big fucking distraction from your real problems, from the people who are really harming us. It's a big fucking distraction. And the problem is, it's not that people are stupid. It's because people are misguided. They think all their problems revolve around immigration. The people on the extremes are the ones who are terrorists. The ones who dress up like that. They're too extreme. Action needs to be taken against them. But people on the right who believe that immigration is the fault of everything, they're misguided. They are simply misguided. Because if they generally believed in reducing migration makes the UK better, then they would back what the government have been saying. But again, I point back to the point that they don't care what the government says. They don't want to believe what the government says. Are the police not allowed to use water cannon devices on their vehicles, says Scott Hayes. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if in Northern Ireland they're allowed to or not. So I cannot answer that question. Thank you first and foremost for the £5 super chat. Give me a second. Can police use water cannons? Police have been clear that they will only use water cannons in areas where people can move away from water, or water being able to give them to. That's 2015. 2015. Their use of police was subject to. Oh, I don't want UK. I want Northern Ireland specifically, if we can find. Sorry, I just want to have a look and see if I can get a direct answer. I don't know if I can or not. Let's ask the AI. Let's have a look, see what AI says. I want to try and give you an answer on it if I can. The AI is thinking at the moment. While it's thinking, let me have a look. I think water cannons banned in the UK, says Counter Kiev. Yes, PSNI can legally use water cannons. 10th of June today. Protests. Water cannons have been used as. Hold on a second. Is this today? They use water cannons today? Yes, they use water cannon. You literally said that. This is today from the BBC. Water cannons fired after protesters take the streets for the second night. So they've literally used them today. Thank you, AI, for that. There you go. There's your answer. So yes, they have been using. They've literally been using water cannons. So that answers that question there. So thank you for the £5 super chat. Sorry, I really wanted to find an answer to that because I think that was a very good, very important question to answer there. Thank you for that. There is only one way to control it, and that, by the way, that literally was just 2 minutes ago. That piece dropped from the BBC there. There is only one way to control it: police or army, both in the streets. The intense policing. I don't really want to go as far as calling in the army. I don't want to go that far. Glasgow protest links as 5 per Scott. Thank you for that. No, if this was a purely right-wing thing, we've ever seen similar during the Tories' 14 years. It's just not a right-wing thing. I think that social media has been amplified so much more since the Tories were in power. I generally believe that social media has amplified people's voices, a lot of far-right voices, a lot more than they have been in the past. Social media has given them such a big platform. It was the usual folks at the protest in Glasgow. In the NF folks, I recognise them, says Viper Scott. Thank you for the £2 super chat as well, saying all hail DPR Ollie and the Quackers. Indeed, thank you for that. I much appreciate it. The protests were the usual folk in Ireland and recognise them, only 30, 40 folks, says Viper Scott. Okay, I did see 1 or 2 clips of it. So, there. And I police have 6 Somali RCN knife alcohols according to my sources. Well, yeah, we just seen that they can use water cannons as well. There. This is a point that's been pointed out. If you haven't heard this on other YouTube, from other YouTubers, I'm pretty sure Max Robespierre has mentioned this as well. But for those who don't know as well, so the attacker, the Northern Ireland attacker, was allowed. Guess who was Howe's Home Secretary and Immigration Minister at the time? It was Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick. I wonder why they haven't spoken about any of this, guys.
I think the other thing that's interesting politically is reform. Okay, so Suella Braverman was Home Secretary at the time that the suspect was granted leave to remain, and Robert Jenrick was Immigration Minister. They're now in Reform UK, and I think there will be a little bit of disquiet in that party at taking on some of these Tories who are having to defend this record and undermining what Reform is trying to do now. Some of the really tough policies they've announced, abolishing leave to remain, mass deportations. I think it really highlights that reputational risk that Nigel Farage absorbed when he took on former Conservatives.
Yeah, I've said this before and I've said this again. I think even other people have said this as well. It was a huge mistake for Reform to take on so many Conservatives. They took on way too many. Like, it was all right at the first, but they've taken on way too many. They've brought way too many over, and people are seeing that it's just Tory light as well to a certain extent. People are starting to see that, which is why some of those people are really shifting from Reform now to Restore, because this is I do want to. I said this morning, but for those who don't know, Restore are going to come third in this Makerfield by-election. If they come second, I will be very, very scared. And I think you should be too if they come second. I don't think they will, but if they do, it means that the mainstream media will have to platform them, because it shows that they are a serious contentious party. And I don't want to give them that, because unlike Reform, who under Nigel Farage, obviously, I mean, I don't want to see them grow either, but I think, they're a lot more, I think Restore Britain are a lot more extreme. And unfortunately, they have the full support of Elon Musk's backing as well. And he really does boost the algorithm to favour them on the platform here as well. Any Conservative would be bad, but Braverman and Jenrick, literally the worst of the Tories. I do want to say, though, for those who didn't listen to Dave McGuinness' show this morning, I do want to remind people that it's important to stress that it's easy to literally point the finger at Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick because they were Home Secretary and Immigration Minister at the time. The argument that you will hear from Reform is that it was because of the ECHR that they were allowed in. That's you can hear neither here or there. But what I do think is important is that how many of these people that have been brought in, who come in and claim asylum, how many of them have been given the support and the help they need? That's another question that we should be asking. How many of them are actually being given the support, the general support they need to be able to be on their feet, to be able to earn a job, to be able to have a home to accommodate themselves, to get this, to accommodate themselves, to be able to feed themselves, to clothe themselves, to be able to actually have a life here in the UK? How many of them are we actually helping? Because that's another thing as well. How much government support is there? How much of the charities and organisations have been helping these people get on their feet to get going in life, right? Because the reality is some of those people have not gotten that support. And some of them may turn into violence and anger because they've not had any help. As has been mentioned, some of these people come from backgrounds where they've come from war-torn countries. They've absolutely lost everything. and you don't know what that can do to someone's head psychologically. And I do think that's a very powerful point, and it's worth arguing. So I'm not going to say that this is entirely Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick's fault, because I don't think that's fair. I do think they have questions to answer, yes, absolutely. But is it right to point the finger solely on those two for this incident? No, I don't agree with that position. But both of them are absolute arseholes. I absolutely agree with the chat on that. But I don't think it's right to pin it completely and entirely on them as well.
Nothing that has happened in the last 24 hours
can
ever be justified, ever. That both events are appalling and sinister and disturbing. And what is certainly not necessary in either case is for the world's most powerful, richest tech oligarch sitting thousands of miles away, an ocean and a continental landmass away, fanning the flames in a city about which he knows precisely nothing. I doubt Elon Musk would be able to point at Belfast or get anywhere near Belfast on a map. And yet there can be no doubt that his interventions are making what is already a bad situation, and let's not pretend that he invented it as such, what was already a bad situation, worse still. The old adage used to be that with power comes responsibility. It is absolutely clear that Musk has enormous power, and he has zero sense of the responsibility that ought to go with it.
The general consensus is that people want to see Elon Musk himself. He wants a civil war. He wants to see some kind of uprising. He's pushing this narrative very hard. But the good news is that not everyone is on X, and not everyone has a life onside social media. Some people actually have, real lives. So that does benefit the UK point as well. So Labour and Starmer need to be aggressive about this and on the media reform and in education and feeding and employing people. And they go to Europe trying to cherry pick instead of being serious about it. Don't show any to Suella TikToks, please. I think she only did 1 or 2. I don't know how many more she's done there, to be fair. Has Elon Musk ever been to Ireland or London? I think Elon Musk has been to London. I don't know about Ireland. That's a very good point. He's probably never been. He probably has been to London. I don't know when the last time he was there, but he probably is convinced, like so many other people on Twitter, that London has been taken over by Sharia law or Shakira law, because of Mayor Sadiq Khan. He's probably got that narrative in his head, to be fair. Again, I want to stress that this clip here is incredibly heartbreaking. Okay, this is Jamie Corey, right? His house was set on fire, right? He has not done anything wrong. Okay, this man has not done anything wrong, and you can clearly tell he's not brown, he's not black. Okay, he's just another member of society. And his house was set on fire. And by the way, just for reference, it shouldn't matter the colour of their skin, but this man's house was set on fire nonetheless.
Let's just stood right over there and watch the whole house go up.
How are you feeling about that?
I've lost a home, man. 13 years out here. And that's gone. The house is wrecked, man. The whole house is completely destroyed. From top to bottom. It's literally all gone.
And did you see footage of, you were standing across the road watching it happen?
I seen the car was here even before it went up. It was a red car, and I seen him lighting it, and I told him, this is my house, I knew it was going to catch fire. And
so they were setting fire to the car, but then clearly
And then that one there, and then it was a red one, it caught fire the whole house. It was all the sparks and all flying. It was actually the door went up first. And then I knew straight away that was it gone.
Was there anyone in the property at all?
No, the property was completely empty, no. As I says, I was standing there watching it. And literally told them before they lit the fire, I says, this is my house here. I'm sure they didn't care anyway, did they?
What's your message to the people who have wrecked your property?
They've done it one of their own. I understand they're all angry and all that, but I've just lost a home, so...
This man's lost everything. He's lost his car. He's lost his home. And for what? What did he do? Nothing. He did absolutely nothing. He wasn't even someone that they were going after. And they still set his house and his car on fire. This man has lost everything. For what? This man has lost everything. He's not going to get that back. He's not going to get the things that he had in there, his possessions, back. He's lost everything. It's not right. It's not right at all. I really do mean this. My heart bleeds for this man. You know, absolutely horrifying that this man has lost absolutely everything. And these people, they targeted his home and his car on the assumption that he was brown or black, that a brown or black person owned that car and owned the home. But even if he was, it doesn't change the fact of how outrageous and disgusting this is. And my heart really does bleed for this man. I honestly, like, I just don't know what to say. Like, it does boil my bloods, yeah, when this has happened to an innocent person who's done absolutely nothing wrong, probably doesn't even give a shit about politics, and his home has been destroyed. His life has been destroyed. It's absolutely horrible. Elon Musk, by retweeting Tommy Robinson's SM endorsed by the Force early closure of businesses yesterday and the riots that were planned by loyalist paramilitary, says Chatty Rat. Yeah. It's good to see you there, Chatty Rat. I did see your comments yesterday with regards to this as well. This morning, I think it was, as well. So, a billionaire bunker baby living on a private island tells you who you should fear. Yeah. Like, stop listening to the billionaires. Like, Elon Musk don't fucking know what's going on. Like, stop listening to these people who sit on the internet behind a keyboard telling you what's happening there when they've never even set foot in the place. And by the way, as talking as somebody who is, you can actually see their camera and you can see me talking to you, right? I've actually been, I mean this, I feel privileged to have been able to go to Northern Ireland quite a while ago, and to see a lot of history of Northern Ireland, to see a lot of it, and I felt very honoured to be able to learn and understand this. This was before I believe this was before the Brexit referendum as well. To actually see different sides of Northern Ireland. I thought it was very educational for me. And quite powerful, I felt, you know, especially the wall, seeing the wall there. Very powerful indeed. He was burnt out by his neighbours, says Chatty Rat. I don't think they cared who owned the cars and the house. It is mindless. Well, some cars haven't been. Some cars haven't been there. That one we've already seen. This is a Ukrainian refugee.
Well, after the riots, I think like my neighbor's house was set on fire, so like my front door caught the fire a bit, and like it had to be kind of like kicked out to kind of like stop the fire, because like it was about to go in the house. Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, like, it was terrifying, you know. I was with my dog at the house, so I had to, like, escape through the back door. Whenever, like, my dog, like, my neighbor's dog was trapped in the house, so they were also trying to break into their house to get the dog. But I was lucky enough that my friends live nearby, so they let me, like, crash for the night.
And this is a Ukrainian refugee, by the way. This is someone who has had to come to leave her country because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And obviously, like many Ukrainians in different parts of the world who have taken refuge in other countries in order to try and build a life for themselves, in the hopes that one day that they will be able to return to their country, free from Putin, free from Russia. And obviously, she's trying to rebuild her life, and you have this happening. Don't like Northern Ireland, not my best memory, says Dave McGuinness. Yeah, to be like, I obviously, like, the time I went, obviously it was the most calmest time. I visited the most calmest time. So this was before the Brexit referendum. This was when obviously things were a lot calmer, calmer times. I think we even when we went, actually, it was the Queen was literally visiting Northern Ireland at the time as well. So that's how calm it was like at the time. These people are terrorists and they should be treated as such. Caller William lives in Glasgow, where he says the rioters weren't policed at all.
Are you saying they weren't policed at all? They weren't policed at all?
They weren't policed at all. The police should have ran up to the people, arrested them on the spot, physically got into an altercation with them and threw them back. Because it's terrorism. They people went out with an implied intent, with a political purpose to cause terror to people. That's the definition of terrorism. See, if I told you I've got a political point I want to prove, how are you going to prove that point? I'm going to go wear a mask and attack people. You'd call me a terrorist. These people are terrorists. They should be treated as such.
Absolutely. And we absolutely. You're wearing a mask, you're wearing a balaclava, you're covering in a hood, you're all in black. Like, that's not political point scoring. That's causing terror. And these people the people who are losing this argument about, the people who are trying to win this argument about immigration, right? They don't want to change. It's not policy that they want to win over. It's intimidation is what they want to win over. They want to intimidate people to leave the UK, to leave their neighbours, to leave their communities. They want to intimidate them out of here. They want them basically to leave. They want this utopia, as I said, full of white people. That's what they want to have, guys. They want this utopia full of white people, which is bonkers. Guys, make sure you do check out the Two Dave's YouTube channel as well. Good to see you there, Dave McGuinness. I thought this was a very powerful speech from the SDLP leader Claire Hammer's furious speech condemning the Belfast riots here. I think this was very good. Hold on, let me adjust my camera again. Apologies. I don't know why it's like the way it is, but unfortunately, that's Twitter for you.
Children in my constituency and others lifted out of their beds as their homes burned. Masked men roamed the streets, going door to door, menacing and setting fire to cars and buses and homes, terrorising people on the basis of the colour of their skin or the sound of their voice. People from Sudan, people from India, people from Ukraine and people from Belfast. And today, businesses are shuttered. Medical appointments are cancelled. Schools are being closed for fear of getting young people home. So many people are frightened to walk the streets and frightened to be in their own homes tonight. And for all the online agitators who stoke this stuff up, when they move on to their next target, we'll be the ones left to pick up the pieces. People are, of course, entitled to their views on immigration, and of course government policy is imperfect, but this hasn't been a debate or a conversation. There haven't been proposals, there haven't been honesty about the trade-offs, there has been mob justice and some of the same old proposals for a hardened border on the island of Ireland. Political leaders have a duty to lead, not to lean into people's worst fears and anxieties. That video of the awful crime in North Belfast was unusual in its brutality, but the cycle of deflection and disorder has not been unusual. We have seen this movie too many times before. In Belfast, we know all about blaming an entire community for the actions of others. We know all about scapegoating. We know all about tit-for-tat violence, and we know all about street justice.
Yeah, they do. They certainly do indeed. Very powerful words from her there. The PSNI has 2 water cannons to JWAT, which were not deployed last night. And if they were asked, I'm sure the Garda would have lent them there too. Well, we saw a piece. I don't know if you were here, JWAT, but we did just looked up a bit earlier because Scott Hayes asked about it in the super chat. And there was a BBC report literally came down about them using water cannons. I don't know if it was tonight. I'm assuming it was tonight, but yeah, they are allowed to use water cannons. So my assumption is that they are going to be. I'm assuming there are protests happening, protests or riots or terrorising happening tonight, and I'm assuming they're using water cannons to disperse them. I'm hoping, if it is happening tonight. God forbid it isn't there. This is you're gonna find this story quite distressing. But I really want to share this story, and the reason why I want to share this story because I think it's important for us to hear this, because this is a father who has the difficult decision of trying to explain to their children the situation that they are in during this last night.
I have them locked in the house. It's very tense. It's like a war zone.
Tell me what community you're from, Anselmo, how long you've lived here.
I came to the Northern Ireland since 2013. I live on my street now for almost 10 years. I have never seen such a thing on my local community here. So seeing this last night unfolded, it was very horrific for myself as well as for my family, my wife and my children.
Tell me what you saw.
Yesterday evening, I was in my house with my children, and the smoke from the bus that was taking fire came into my house. And then my children asked me, Daddy, where is this smoke coming from? I said, I don't know. We closed the window because of the smoke. And then the fire alarm started to ring. My kids started to ask, Daddy, we need to go out. The smoke alarm is on. I said, no, don't go outside. Outside is not safe. Why can't we go to the safe place? They told us if they hear the smoke alarm, you go out. We couldn't go out because outside it was very bad. I didn't know how to tell my children the situation which was outside. So I put the TV on for themselves to see on the news.
One of your kids is just 9 years of age, correct?
Yes, my first boy is 9 years old. The other one is 8. And then my girl is 2 years.
How long have you lived here?
I have been living on this street for almost 10 years.
10 years.
But I came to Northern Ireland since 2013.
Do you feel safe here now?
Actually, at the moment, honestly speaking, I first of all pray for the recovery for the victim man who is in the hospital in a critical situation, but we don't support whatever happened the night before. I pray for the recovery and I ask for the justice to be done. But for the safety, now I'm not feeling safe because then my neighbor was burned, his house was burned. Maybe I will be the next being on the street here. If I could be able to move from this place to a safer place, I would do so.
It's so sad. It really is.
It's very, very sad and distressing. I don't know how to take my children to school. I'm wondering myself, will myself and my children will be okay walking on the street, going to school at the moment. So we are just locked inside of the house. And I came out to see if we can go to school.
What are you going to do today? Do you feel you can bring your kids to school today?
I have them locked in the house because I don't know. It's very tense. You can see people on the street. It's like a war zone, and I may not want my children to see this. It will be terrifying them.
You have your
Can
children
you imagine?
Locked in the house.
Yes.
2026, the United Kingdom, and we have kids locked in the house because their parents are afraid that they will be attacked because of the colour of their skin.
How do you explain this to your children? How do you, as a father, explain this to your children? You simply can't. I feel so sorry for this man. And he knows that he's not safe. He knows his kids are not safe now. Because even if it calms down, how does he know it's not going to happen again? The man is going to be living in constant fear. And he's going to be desperate for his kids not to feel this as well. It's truly, truly heartbreaking to have heard that story. And unfortunately, that is the reality that he is in. And he has done nothing wrong. He has no connection to the killer, to the attempt, to the person responsible. He's again, just like the other gentleman's house who lost his home and lost his car. He's not done anything wrong. But yet, he knows that if he set foot outside that home with his kids, we already know might happen. I don't want to assume, but you can all assume in the chat why he didn't want to go out for obvious reasons. Thank you for popping in, Genie Bottle. I appreciate it. I really do. I can understand Labour not being able to deal with the 2024 Farage rights, but how have they allowed us to get to this point? They have utterly failed to tackle the far right. They do not have control of the narrative. They are the government. They can take control of the narrative. They have the power to do stuff. They have the power to do things to control the narrative. They really, really do. But their communications is just shit. They're so shit with their communications. And it's so obvious. It really infuriates me. It's like this, right? The Republican Party in America, the Trump administration, they own the White House, they own Congress, they own the Senate, and yet they can't fucking run anything. You have a Labour government with a stonking majority that can pass whatever legislation they want. Okay, they might have some fumbles in the House of Lords, but the vast majority, right, they can change the laws. They have the powers to do stuff. What have they been doing to tackle this? To stop this? Nothing. And what happens when you sit and let it happen? The rot begins to fester and grow. And tying into all of this, I have to tie this into this, is the cost of living crisis. You have to tie this all to the cost of living crisis and inequality to all of this. Because, and we have spoken about this on this channel, we have a lot of people, young people, as someone mentioned in the chat, who don't have a job, can't get out of their mum's home, can't make a decent living for themselves. It'd be nice if they could fly all the way to Australia and start a new life for themselves. Maybe they can't even afford the flight ticket to get out. But there's a lot of youngsters who are angry, who are frustrated, don't understand why their parents had a better life than they do, and they want to take their anger and frustration out on something or someone, and this is where they do it. There's a lot of them that feel that way. Some youngsters don't do that. Some youngsters hold it in because obviously they understand right from wrong. But some of them don't care about right and wrong because they literally have no life. The point of a government is to look after its people. And these young people have been abandoned. Not just by this Labour government, but also the 14 years of Conservatives. It's also important to highlight that as well. So when we see these things, yes, of course, social media's played a part. Yes, Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk have played a role in influencing this. The likes of Nigel Farage, Reform and Restore. Yes, of course they have. Right-wing media as well. But if these people, the yacht of youngsters here, if they were given a fair crack at life, being able to live independently, be able to get a decent job, to be able to make something of themselves, they wouldn't be out here doing these kind of things. Steve McMahon, thank you so much for the 20 New Zealand dollars. Thank you so much for your support. That's very, very kind of you. I very much appreciate that. They have a huge majority. They could do anything they wanted, yet they have done bugger all. I wouldn't say they haven't done bugger all. Like, they have done some policies, okay? Yeah, but if we're talking about in terms of this, tackling inequality, something that Gary Stevenson has talked about a lot, you know, dealing with the inequality crisis. He's been badging on about this for God knows how long. You know, this is tied to it. This is all tied to it. You know, you can't not say that this is not a factor. Labour have done some things, but they've done. There are some things they've done better than the Conservatives, but there are things they have done that have been worse than the Conservatives as well. Labour are trying to out Farage. That's exactly how it appears to a lot of people, because a lot of people agree with you, David, because that's how it appears to a lot of people. It's like when they see all the talk about Labour have knocked down immigration, Shabir Rahman getting tough on the boats and whatnot, and it's just like how's that going to put more money in my pocket? Like, you increase national insurance contributions to employers, businesses are now having to pay more out, and it means that those businesses are either raising their prices or they're not recruiting. Like, how's that making more money for the economy? Hello, Chatty Rat. Yes, I did see your comment about the water cannons. Yes, because like I said, we saw a BBC piece earlier. We looked at a BBC piece on that. Yes, so yeah, they did. So they have water cannons been deployed this evening on the same street where a bus was burnt off last night. Okay, so it's in the same street. All right, thank you for that. Thank you for that. We didn't look at the article. We just looked at the headline because we wanted to confirm whether or not Northern Ireland could use water cannons, but they can. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. And thank you again, Steve, for the 20 New Zealand dollars. Very much appreciate it. If we get to the super chat goal, guys, I'll play the super chat goal video, which I know Alliston was very happy to see. There's a sense of betrayal to every person that has come here. Caller Howard tells James O'Brien that the growing hostility to immigration feels like breaking the unwritten contract that those who move to the UK to contribute. This is a very powerful point as well. I'm so sick of switching. Sorry, I have to keep switching cameras, but it's because of the size of the video. Guys. So it's not me. It's X. Yeah. This also touches on a lot of it as well.
When I came here in the 80s, this is not what I signed up for. So it's almost there was an unwritten contract. I came here, I studied, I worked, I did my part, and I kind of expected, for me to have made this my home. There are lots of things I would expect in return. And the first thing is my right to exist here and be here and work and raise a family, right? So now I'm seeing these hostilities. I'm seeing them locally. I'm seeing them on my screen. I'm seeing them happening to my teenage daughters at school. I just feel there is a sense of betrayal that's happened to every single person who has come here, stuck. We have stuck to our part of this unwritten contract that we've had with this country. And now this country has reduced us to the people who pop up on us.
I want to say that this is not the majority of people who are doing this. This is a minority. And the problem is the minority are getting amplified by this. This is a minority of people. I don't accept that this is a majority of people. I really don't. I really think this is a minority of people and they are being highlighted. I don't accept this premise that the vast majority of white people feel this way. I don't accept that premise. But unfortunately, there is enough people in enough of these minorities in enough places to create that point. Thank you, Viper Scott, for the £2 super chat. One less to get to the excellent video. Thank you. Stephen Moore says, it's very true, Reganelite. These riots are about economic deprivation more than immigration. Immigrants are becoming a convenient target for these angry youth men in sight for others. Then again, and it comes down to it's a scapegoat. They're looking for a scapegoat for their problems, and immigration is a scapegoat. Just to clarify, Reganelite, this is the water cannon is being deployed tonight, and the other end of the Newtown Abbey Road. Thank you, Chatty Rat. Appreciate that. QA Library, good to see you there, saying what's going on in Northern Ireland is people still fighting a 400 years of war and DUP far from helping. They are stoking the anger, segregating schools we should have abolished years ago. There is also that fear, of course, of a united Ireland, which many of them are fearing as well, and they do not want that as well. There is that fear as well. Graham Price says, no, it's not a silent majority. It's a loud minority with a media that wants to amplify their grievances for clicks and rage break profit. There is that factor too, but I wouldn't say all of them as well. But yeah, I agree. I do agree to a certain extent there as well, Graham. So Nigel Farage, he wasn't at question time, but apparently he was able to. Apparently he wasn't at question time, guys. But he apparently was in Makerfield. apparently. Now, I haven't watched the full thing. I've only seen 1 or 2 clips here.
Look, whatever the family said in Belfast, the fact is, things kicked off in Belfast last night in a very, very big way. And things will continue to kick off. And I'm very open about the fact there were some very bad actors get involved in this stuff, but not the vast majority.
See, there it is. There it is. It's not all of them, guys. Yeah, there were some bad actors, but it's not all of them. It's not all of them. Yeah. Now, I want to make a distinction before I want to make a very important distinction before we come to the end of this video. I will come to the super chat in a moment, but I want to make a distinction here between what happened in Belfast and what happened in Southampton with the Henry Nowak. Okay, I want to make a clear distinction. Okay, so in Southampton, I said this, and I want to make this very clear to you. There were people who were trying to incite violence in Southampton. That is absolutely true. However, there were also people in Southampton who were protesting and not a part of those riots, who were expressing their anger and frustration over what happened with the Henry Nowak case. Okay, there were people who were doing that, but weren't inciting violence. There were people there. Some of them were just sitting there with their phones. Some of them were just keeping their distance and watching along. There were those who were trying to incite violence, but there were some weren't. Okay. Now, as far as I have seen from video footage that I have, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong in the chat, but but my understanding was every single person who has taken place in this in Belfast, they all wore black, they all wore face masks, and they all wore black hoodies. So there's no way that you can say that some of them didn't take part when they were all dressed with the same dress code. How can you distinct who was and who wasn't a part of this? How can you make that distinction? Well, you can make a distinction of people in Southampton because you can clearly see their faces because they're not covered up. You can see you can see them very clearly. The ones who are causing riots, causing damage to police officers, but you can't see who's doing it in Belfast. So I think that's a really, really important point. I will come back to the super chat in a bit. I want to finish this clip if that's all right.
The vast majority are fearful. The vast majority want action. They actually want something done to make their streets safer. And nothing is being proposed. It wasn't by the last government. It's not by this government. And I think the worry is over the course of the summer. And it seems there's not even a week that goes by now where we don't read of some horrific mass sexual assault or something like.
I agree. It's not a fair comparison because obviously, Chatty says there's no paramilitary involvement in Southampton. I absolutely agree with that comparison, but I also want to make that distinction quite clear, because I don't want to, because some people will make that distinction, and I don't think some people will make that distinction. I know a vast majority in the chat will agree with me that some in Southampton were not. But I just want to make that distinction because I think that context is important. Absolutely right. And yeah, it's very, very different in Belfast to Southampton. Very, very different groups indeed. That is absolutely true.
Like that has been committed by somebody who just should not be in Britain. I think the fear is this stuff gets worse. Unless you give people hope, this stuff will get worse. And as for the controversy, so-called controversy over my comments, I don't think telling the truth is controversial. It shouldn't be.
You said rage. You said rage. We talked about this on this morning's live stream. You do not know what the definition of rage is, right? Right, I need to take a breath for a moment before we come back to this. Oh my days. Because Scott Hayes has given a £2 super chat and we need to breathe a sigh of relief. Because we hit today's super chat goal! Thank you very much for everyone who sent super chats for tonight's live stream. I know you guys were waiting very, very patiently for that. I just wanted to do it at the right moment. And obviously, in that moment was not the right time, as you guys understand. Thank you to everyone who sent super chats tonight. Very, very much appreciated. So yes, we have hit today's super chat goal. So thank you to everyone who did support that. Please appreciate it. I just played the video. Farage, what a freaking a-hole, makes my blood boil. He does make my blood boil too. I really can't. Yeah, he does make my blood boil. He does. I'm not going to read that one because we've already had that here. I do want to add a bit more to this here because I think this is important from Amnesty News, Amnesty International spitting facts on. We'll get on this as well.
Exploit that now to target ire and fire towards a whole community of people with dark skin, and that's the result we saw last night. Hundreds of masked men.
As you say, unforgivable, and horrifying what has happened. But do you also understand that there is a big sense from many people in Northern Ireland that the government has been too slow to act when it comes to tackling immigration, particularly illegal immigration?
Do you honestly think they care about immigration? Do people in Northern Ireland, like generally, I generally mean this, do they honestly care about immigration, or are they just looking a reason to incite riots?
No, I don't. I mean, if we're talking about Northern Ireland is one of the most white, least diverse parts of the UK. We do not have a problem, as some people suggest, with immigration. And the events of last night are not about immigration. It's about pure racism. The racist mob was attacking anybody they perceived as different, and that was down to their skin colour, their country of origin. It was not about some policy discussion about immigration, which ultimately sits with the Home Office. There were no policy proposals coming forward there. There were petrol bombs and bricks and stones being directed at innocent people's homes. And the result is that there are people today who are left homeless in emergency accommodation, and many, many others, some of whom have been in touch with me, who are utterly petrified right now, afraid to leave their homes and worried about another night of violence this evening and in the days ahead and into the weekend. Absolutely petrified. So let's not fall prey to these false arguments that this is about immigration. This is about racism, pure and simple.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point from Patrick there from Amnesty International. Is there any? I don't think there's any more worth adding to this that we haven't already added to this. I think we've covered more than enough of this story for sure. And of course, I'm sure you're going to hear more about this from myself, Dave McGuinness, Liz Webster, and Alex from Political X when we talk about it on the Sunday roast. We'll definitely be talking about it then as well as other topics. So do consider subscribing to the Sunday roast, and be sure to check that out when that comes out on Sunday, guys. That will be we're definitely looking forward to that there as well. So I want to share one or two other stories with you guys. I just want to go a bit away from that because obviously we've covered a lot on that already. I want to share this story here about an ex-reform councillor here. And this obviously would be one worth reminding ourselves of if we want Graham as well, because it really does just go to show just how, Rob Kenyon and other members of Reform, how sexist they really, really are here. So this is a story of a former Reform councillor here, guys.
I feel really sad. And I feel embarrassed that I believed everything that they said. Because I fully bought in. I did. Now I just feel very let down.
So how have the last few days been then?
Stressful.
Charlotte Kelly joined Reform UK hoping to make Leek a better place. But she says her time in the party has only made her own life worse. She alleges bullying, sexism and a culture that left her feeling isolated and ignored.
It just seems to always be targeted at me. It's not the men, it's always me.
She says when she raised concerns about sexism, one female colleague told her the men involved couldn't help it because of their age. She also faced comments about her clothes.
So I was taken shopping because they didn't like how I dressed and that they said I needed to look in a certain way. They didn't do that with any of the men.
So what clothes did they buy you?
On it, high shirts. I know that there was a lot of comments about my cleavage.
Charlotte is now a Conservative councillor joining the official opposition in Staffordshire. She hopes she'll be freer to speak her mind, claiming Reform UK would not tolerate even the slightest dissent. How would you describe how the party treats its councillors?
I would say that as long as you do as you're told, they're fine, and as long as you don't expect anything from head office, you just pretty much get left.
So do you feel that you have freedom to express your opinion within the group?
No, not if it's a different one.
And what would happen to you if you did do that?
Then you get shut down, like I was told not to. They want you to vote and say and just do as you're told, and whether or not you think it's right, which isn't. And I started to ask questions and speak out. And when I did, I was, especially from one particular person, reacted with swearing, abuse, and a really awful behaviour. I think the systemic issue is that they are not vetting correctly to see whether or not people have these views. When you present these issues and say that they're there, that they're not doing anything about it.
That's really, really infuriating. Like, this is somebody like, like, of course, we're not, the vast majority of our viewers here are not fans of reform, obviously. But this is someone who actually generally believed in reform, believed in Nigel Farage, believed in its political party, and left it because they treated her indifferently simply because she's a woman. Now, obviously, if you're higher up like Sarah Potchin or Suella Braverman, you can get away with it because you've got a bit of power and influence. But how many other female councillors in reform are also going through the same situation? I think that's a question that is worth asking ourselves, chat. Also, questions need to be asked is about the World Cup, guys. As you guys know, tomorrow the World Cup officially starts. And this World Cup has been riled in so much controversy, far more than any other World Cup. And it seems like it's getting worse and worse. There were controversies about Russia's hosting, rightfully so, because of what happened in 2014. There were serious questions about Qatar hosting the World Cup, i.e. maybe because some of the stadiums that they built were off the backs of people who died. Some of them literally were slaves to building those stadiums in that winter World Cup that was hosted there. But this World Cup isn't really a World Cup, is it? When you think about how many people have been denied entry, how many people have been how much the players have been put through. There's a lot of players coming from African countries have gone through a shred ton of patting down, sniffing dogs, all that kind of stuff. All because they're coming from countries that Donald Trump and the Trump administration don't like. They're here to be a part of the greatest sports in the world, right? And then there's the story about the Somalian referee, guys. And Ian White had some words to say about this World Cup. And we're going to hear what he has to say with regards to it.
I just read that the Somalian referee has been denied entry. Every few hours, it's another story. Another story about fans denied, players denied, officials denied, journalists denied. Now refs. You know something? I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's actually not funny. Something has to be said. It's expensive tickets, most expensive tickets ever. Expensive accommodation, transport through the roof. It has to be said. You know, is this how the hosts behave, really? For the greatest game, the greatest tournament in the world. Is this how the hosts behave? Are we not hearing more? Are we seeing how Qatar got dragged? Are we not hearing more? Is this the spirit of football? Really? You know who I feel for? I feel for the American fans who are desperate for this. American soccer fans who are desperate for this, how embarrassed they must be. How embarrassing for them this must be. This is, you know what, this is the World Cup. This is a World Cup of chaos. Whoever wins this World Cup is going to have to go through some serious, serious chaos to get this done. I hope we can do it. But something has to be said now. This is just like, this is the World Cup.
It is. It's just absolutely infuriating indeed. And it's not just going to be in America that's going to be problems, guys. No, there's going to be problems in Mexico as well. Why?
This should be the heart of the main World Cup fan zone here in Mexico City. Instead, barricades blocking the way to Zocalo Square. There is still a screen there, but how much of a party mood will there be when protest has taken over the capital? And this is why. All the way down here, for 600 meters, teachers have been in tents for more than a week, and they're planning to stay here, angry at their pay and pensions.
The president, Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, has a promise with us, and this promise is broken.
This primary school teacher tells me he wants to use the World Cup to show the world things are not right in Mexico. The teachers told me they feel exhausted and exploited, while feeling the World Cup is just for the business classes and unaffordable for them.
The teachers just want to be heard. They're using this World Cup to get their voice across, to hope the President Claudia Sheinbaum listens. So, if fans are coming here expecting to arrive at the Fan Fest, instead they'll be confronted by hundreds of tents of protesting teachers.
So not all is well in Mexico as well, and we already know that a lot of Mexican fans were already upset as well with the prices of cost of tickets in Mexico, and obviously not just in there. As far as I'm aware, Canada have done, because obviously it's hosted by the free by Canada, US, and Mexico. As far as I'm aware, everything seems to be okay. I don't hear a lot from Canada. This is the only big negative. This and the tickets obviously have been a big negative. Obviously here from Mexico, I haven't heard too much from Canada as far as I'm aware. I haven't heard too many negative things from Canada. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. What you've heard in the chat to add to it there. But I think that's there. Regan, play that link for Chuckles. What link? I've got a funny video in a bit. Yeah, we'll come to in a bit there. Where is the this FIFA president is just as bad as Sepp Blatter, and you want to know how? Do you want to know how I know that? Well, sometimes a picture takes some clips paint 1,000 words here, where they really try to showcase that, let's bring football together. It's an old one. I don't know how old it is, but FIFA President Infantino tried to force the representative of Palestine to stand with Israel and take a picture at the 75th FIFA Congress. Palestine refused, instead shouting out, "We are suffering. FIFA is a sick organisation. The World Cup should be boycotted by everyone." Don't even need sound to this. You only need to watch and see here, where he tries to pull him over. And it's pretty disgusting, to say the least. Like, you don't need to be like, the premise of bringing football together. Football is not going to bring what's going on over there together. Okay, it's a lot deeper than that. And before I go to some light-hearted and some funny clips, I want to share this final one. I know it's an ITV one, but I think this is very, very powerful and very worth hearing. From Gary Neville, back at the 2022 Qatar World Cup. This, I'm glad this has actually been brought up, because it's a reminder. Respect to Gary Neville, he was on the right side of history when everyone criticised the World Cup being hosted in Qatar. So, Let's hear what he had to say back then.
Last night, Ian Wright, he had his say on being here, and he said he felt quite conflicted. I just wondered how you feel, Gary.
I don't feel conflicted. I've been coming over to the Middle East for 20 years and to Southeast Asia. I've had sporting, business and commercial relationships with these parts of the world for a long, long time. And the fact that FIFA have awarded a World Cup to Qatar in the last few weeks, that's come under huge scrutiny. I accept that position. I'm there to be shot at, and people have criticised me heavily. They've criticised our colleagues on the BBC yesterday for being over here. But the reality of it is, my view on it is quite simply that, I detest workers' rights abuses. I hate the idea of people not being paid enough money, people working in poor conditions, the idea of people not having good accommodation, the fact that women's rights aren't adhered to, or that there are human rights abuses. I can't stand it. But I also have relationships in this part of the world, and I've done for many, many years. And those relationships are long-standing. Those relationships are long-standing in our country with the UK. If you think about the fact that we buy most of our energy from the Middle East, that they own our banks, that the royal family have relationships with the Middle East, both sporting and charitable. You think about our government, our political parties have relationships with the Middle East. They own London Heathrow Airport, they own London Stock Exchange. And the fact of the matter is, it's football that's actually brought the scrutiny, and football tournaments that have brought the scrutiny on these challenges that exist in this part of the world and the way in which these things happen. And from my point of view, I'm happy for football to front that up. If Prince William doesn't want to come to this tournament, but he's okay with not coming to the tournament, but his father takes, if you like, charitable donations, that's fine. If the political MPs don't want to come over here, but they're happy to take money from them in our country for their political parties, that's fine with me. But I always see it as football and ex-football players who seem to be coming under criticism. And from my point of view, I have to say that I think that football stands up, football players stand up. We've got another issue today with the One Love armband with Harry Kane, these political and social issues, which I'm absolutely delighted to talk about. I think there's a serious conversation to be had, because my point always is, should there be a World Cup in all parts of the world? Should there be a World Cup in the Middle East? Should there be a World Cup in Arab countries? There absolutely should be. And if we're going to do that, then we are going to come across some of these issues that exist in these parts of the world where we don't agree with them. But can you not enjoy a sporting tournament and come over and challenge the system over here, but also bring football to different parts of the world and try and advance things and impact things? And I will continue to keep coming to this part of the world. I'll continue to keep going to parts of Southeast Asia. Other sectors like energy sectors, our Air Force, our banks, our political parties, they seem to want to shy away from their existing relationships that they have with this part of the world. But football will get the scrutiny. Football will be the one that gets penalised for it. And I personally have been hammered over this last few weeks. And that's fine. But I'm happy to stand up and debate it, because I think there's a serious conversation to be had where sporting competitions should be held, and I believe they strongly should be held in the Middle East.
Yeah, this was a very powerful point here. I really like this point that he made back at this World Cup. Yes, of course, should Qatar have been? Let's not beat around the bush. Qatar paid FIFA for this hosting. Qatar paid, for all of this. Yeah, they threw money at to have the World Cup here, and that's the absolute truth. And did people die building these stadiums? Absolutely. Does Qatar have human rights issues and whatnot? Yes, there are all these things. Absolutely, that should be that those questions absolutely need to be accounted for. Absolutely. But here's the thing, right? And I generally did believe this at one point, that football could help bring about change for the good. Has Qatar changed since this World Cup happened 4 years ago? No. When South Africa hosted the World Cup in 2010, has South Africa been better off since that World Cup? I'm going to say no. Has Russia gotten better off since their 2018 World Cup? I think we all know the answer to that one. So, but here's the difference between some of those World Cups and the one that's about to kick off tomorrow. People in these parts, whether it was in Russia or Qatar or South Africa, people all over the world were welcomed. Regardless of how people felt about Russia and what they did, or Qatar and their records, people were still welcomed. People were welcomed to those countries to host those tournaments. Fans didn't have to go under fear of being denied access to going to these countries. Even if they've been critical, made critical points, whether it's online or whatever, right? They didn't have this, oh, you can't come, we can't allow you in, right? You didn't have that situation in Russia or Qatar. But in the United States of America, a country that is supposed to be the most democratic of freedoms of sorts of nations, right? They have denied officials, fans, players, and all sorts who participate in this tournament, participate in the World Cup, have been denied entry to the United States for no proper excuse or reason whatsoever. They have just been blatantly denied. People who have paid money. This is not the World Cup. The World Cup in this one, regardless of Qatar or Russia, the difference between those two and this one is that this is not a World Cup. This is Trump's World Cup. Because he wants it all to be about him. And he's going to do everything he can to make this World Cup about him and not about anything else. He will try to steal that spotlight very, very much indeed. This isn't a World Cup. This is a selective World Cup. Both FIFA and UEFA allow Israel FA to form football clubs in the occupied West Bank in breach of FIFA and UEFA statuses. It's understandable that the heads of the Palestinian FA did not want to shake hands with the Israeli counterpart. Of course. And the fact that he tried to make them do that was ridiculous. Like it's so much more deeper than that. Like, I'm sorry, it's not just about politics there. They already have the stable and infrastructure in the EU. Looks a safer bet. I think the next one is in Spain. The next World Cup will be in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. And I can absolutely guarantee you that in that World Cup, the prices will not be as high and it'll be a lot more welcoming. I fully expect the World Cup in 4 years' time in those countries to be a lot better, for sure. I think we need some funny and warm-hearted stuff. And I think this video I want to share. There's actually quite a few variations, but I wanted to share this nice video, guys. So obviously the referee, Omar, who was denied entry to the United States, the Somalian. Guys, I want to just share this. He got quite a welcoming back home to his country, Somalia. A hero's welcome. He also they took him to a stadium in Somalia as well, which was full of spectators to see him as well. He also met the government and the president and whatnot. He got this massive ceremony and whatnot, and was just treated like a hero. He was treated as a national hero, this man. And I have to say, you know, I'm sad that he doesn't get to officiate because he's one of the most highly respected officials, referee officials. But the response from Somalia to give him such a lovely welcome back home to his home country in the manner that they have is absolutely heartwarming. And I'm so happy for this. I'm so happy he got this heartwarming after being denied to host to officially referee at the World Cup. So that is a very nice thing for him indeed. I think that was very, very nice indeed there. So, speaking of the World Cup, some guy from Portsmouth, guys. Yeah, believe it or not, there's this guy from Portsmouth wanted to chime in on the World Cup, guys. I mean, like, I feel like I've heard this guy before, but I'll let you guys decide. But this guy called Colin from Portsmouth wanted to chime in on the World Cup on the eve of it, guys. So I suppose we could hear what they have to say before we wrap things up.
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line. Colin, are you excited for the World Cup?
I'm disgusted, Anthony. Absolutely disgusted. Keir bloody Starmer, he's ruined this World Cup.
He's ruined the World Cup. What's he done now, Colin? What's he done to...
He's not letting us watch England games until 9 p.m.
What?
Honestly, it's the nanny state gone mad.
What do you mean, Colin?
America are letting their citizens watch the England games in the afternoon, and they don't
Right.
even like football. But Starmer's not letting us watch them until the night time. Yet another thing in this country he's got his iron fist around.
I think that's time zones, isn't it?
If America's 8 hours behind, why can't they just catch us up?
Well, that's not how time works, Colin.
Wrong here. Worried that we'll hear some players say some hurty words, so you need to wait until after the watershed? This country's gone soft.
Well, maybe he's not letting anyone see an England flag until the kids have gone to bed because it's so offensive to see one.
J.D. Vance, he had it right. Our civilization is crumbling. Rupert Lowe wouldn't let this happen. He owned Southampton, and that turned out all right.
It did. Well, look at this, Colin. You're not going to believe this is even worse for the Scots. They can't watch their games until 2 a.m.
Well, that's the SNP for you, Anthony.
It is,
Totally
yeah.
inept. I, for one, cannot wait until Britain is ruled by America.
Absolutely.
Then we'll finally get our country back.
Yeah.
Anyway, mate, thanks for having me on. Love to the family.
Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family. You watching the games then?
Nah, don't like football
No.
much. I'm from Portsmouth.
You had to put the Scottish tribe in. Damn you, Colin. Nah, who wants to watch the Scottish game at 2 a.m? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, great one indeed there. Oh,
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line. Colin.
No. We've heard you already, Colin. Thank you very much. We've heard it already. Thank you very much, Colin. Thank you very much. Oh dear, guys. Let me just quickly come to the chat. Oh, it's just updating here on my live screen. Love to the family. Love to the familiar. Yes, love to the familiar indeed. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen him. Indeed. Crikey, I'm not English. I'm not even mad and confused for reasons that I'm too mad to confuse and understand. Colin. Yes. Yeah, the SMP comment. He understands. SMP bad. The person who owns Portsmouth Football Club is a Disney billionaire. Poor Walt Disney. He would be rolling in his grave if he knew that. Thank you for sharing that, Curate Library. Okay, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came along tonight. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you all for watching. I really very much appreciate. Thank you to those who sent super chats as well. Very much appreciate. Hope you found tonight's live stream informative, helpful, educational in some way, shape, or form. And it wasn't just ranting and raving tonight. I really do hope that my live stream was useful to you in some way, shape, or form. I really, really do. I'll be back live tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another Good Morning show. And then in the afternoon, we'll be recording for the Sunday roast, which you won't see until the weekend. And then tomorrow night, at 8 p.m., myself and One Angry Pagan with the EcoFlex show. I'll be covering all things on eco stuff there as well. So enjoy the rest of the evening, whatever you guys are doing. But on your way out, if you can, please, for me, hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content as well. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do on this channel, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.